Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, today, Bitcoin and the crypto market is recovering. I kind of talked about that last night. I kind of expected it. Short term, of course, the equities market is coming back up. It should help Bitcoin and crypto overall. But I have something very important to show you guys. I just caught it, and I believe this really sets the tone for Bitcoin, and it shows what's really going on, especially with this last dip. All right, thanks for tuning in. Excuse me. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides from CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a sigh of relief today. I know for so many, you guys are really panicking, really freaking out, right? And here, this tells all. The fear and greed index hit as low as 16. We haven't gone below 20 in quite some time. But the good thing is, I like to use this index as a contrarian kind of viewpoint. So if there's extreme fear, that's when you should buy. When there's extreme greed, that's when you should take profits. It's pretty accurate, and you could see over the course of the last year, of course, we were stuck at 30,000 for quite some time when this was bottom here, and I did indicate to you guys, yeah, that's usually a good pickup point. We had a little bit over here when Bitcoin hit 40,000, and now you see that we have come back down again, and strangely enough, we're much higher, even though we're at the same fear level, but that's how it usually works. So fear was obviously a big issue last night and over this weekend, and I try to calm you guys down. I'm like, okay, yes, we came down, we have volatility, but we got to stay focused on the future because there's so much to be had. And plus, we are, remember, still in December. Very first week of December, it's only the 6th, and we still have plenty of room to grow in December. That Santa Christmas rally could still be right around the corner. But long term, Bitcoin is doing just fine, and I have some very important things to show that supports that. Number one, well, today, let's start with this. Today, the equities market is doing very, very good. Last night, I was showing the Dow futures and all these futures, this S&P and NASDAQ futures, they were all up. And you can see today is a pretty good day. Tech overall in the equities market has not been doing well because people are trying to prepare for the economy for the economy in terms of reopening, basically. So it seems like there was a lot of traders that went from tech into more like brick and mortar retail stores, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But today everything is going up, so obviously it's looking good with stocks, and it's helping Bitcoin overall and crypto overall. But this is the chart I want to show you guys. Actually, not a chart, a metric. And just came across this. I think this is a very, 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 very interesting and very telling story of what's truly happening. So this is measuring illiquid supply versus liquid supply of Bitcoin. And you may be wondering, well, what's the difference? A liquid supply is Bitcoin that's basically off the exchanges into cold wallets, storage, so it's not very easy to sell. And mostly liquid supply shows you that how much Bitcoin is being held by the long-term holders, okay, the HODLers. So that number, you can see it's displayed with this red chart, and then you have the price, which is, of course, Bitcoin right now, right? So you could see back in March and April, you could see how the liquid supply was going up because number of holders, kept increasing, kept buying Bitcoin, taking off exchanges. But then in May, when things came down, and we did come down drastically in May, so from our peak of 64,000 and started coming back down to like the 40s and 30s, you could see that the red line also went down, which means that a lot of holders, they decided to panic sell. They weren't quite sure, right? They weren't quite sure if 64,000 was actually our top. So a lot of them did sell. But take a look at what's happening right now. Ever since that sell-off in May, till now, that red line has been going up and up and up and up and up. So that means holders continue to buy and buy and buy and buy and removing it from the exchanges, which correlates with the Bitcoin reserves dropping on exchanges. So take a look. Even though we fell from 68,000 down to where we are, well, we went lower to 42 and now we're around 49. You could see the liquid supply did not move. It barely flinched. So it does show you right now the holders are continuing to hodl, right? And that's because they believe this is not the end. We could see it, not just with the charts, but we could see it through the headlines, through the news, how global adoption is growing and fundamentals keeps getting better and better and better. So what does this indicate? Well, this indicates that holders are getting stronger, more and more holders are buying, and this dip was really caused by some large whales that decided to dump on the market for whatever reason. Maybe it's due to Evergrande fears, right? Or maybe to do with something else, but it has nothing to do with retail investors and long-term holders dumping and believing that 68,000 is a top. It's very different now versus back in April and March, right? So this tells you the situation is very, very different. And because the holders continue to be strong and continue to pick up Bitcoin and crypto, this could indicate that, yes, we could have a V-shaped recovery or a quick recovery, but also indicates that, of course, long-term, Bitcoin is just fine and it's going to go much higher. So this is the ultimate metric, I believe, that shows you what happened in April is very different than what happened now. There was retail panic. There was long-term holder panic. There is none right now. And this is a fantastic thing. Very, very, very good. So I just want to lead off with this. Now, there are other things, of course, that's going on. Here's an interesting view. Just like March of 2020, when there was mass panic over COVID, you could see that Bitcoin fell down drastically, right? Then it started recovering, and people are making comparisons to what happened now. Like, what prompted this huge sell-off? Is it because of Omicron? Is it because of Evergrande? Whatever. There was a massive sell-off. So right now, if you're looking at what happened with the sell-off when we hit 42,000 and our recovery right now, it's very similar to what happened in March after we had that initial sell-off, and then we started recovering, and then afterwards, we had a pretty significant V-shaped recovery afterwards. So kind of interesting how people are finding patterns now versus before, and they look very, very similar. So could they all be driven by whales or the same kind of whale manipulation, right? Most definitely, yes, that could be a possibility. So this is also looking pretty good. What else is looking good on a macro perspective and on a fundamental perspective? Take a look at CPI. It's estimated to be reported at 6.7% in November, which is up from 6.2% a month ago. And it just keeps going up, right? This is why Chairman Powell is deciding that he may have to increase tapering sooner than later, because inflation is now not transitory, like he called it. I don't even quite really understand what that means, but he's like, it's no longer transitory, it's no longer at a controllable rate, and it's starting to shoot up. And this is month over month over month. I mean, this is going up insanely high. And why is this important? Well, we know CPI isn't the best indicator for inflation at all. But the fact that CPI itself is starting to go up so much means that this is very worrisome. And one of the biggest cases for buying Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, is a store of value. So as inflation keeps rising, people are looking for hard assets that they could put money into to protect their wealth, to protect their buying power. And that is what Bitcoin is for. That is what Bitcoin is for. So inflation, not so good for anyone not holding Bitcoin. Very good for people that are holding Bitcoin. So that is also very good. And what else? Well, Grayscale did a poll that reveals more than a quarter of U.S. investors currently hold Bitcoin. That's interesting, but this is just among investors, not general public. So if you look at the general public of U.S. citizens, I bet the number is very, 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 very small. But does this show you that investors these days, right, they care about Bitcoin? It has gotten to that maturity level where Bitcoin is mentioned among investors now. It's very hard to talk to an equities investor or a bond investor or a gold investor without them knowing about Bitcoin, right? So it has elevated to that level, but it shows you there's a lot more room to grow, even among investors, but even outside investors, there's just a lot. There's a lot more to come, and a lot more money that will be flowing in, fighting for the 21 million that will ever exist. And that's very, very small compared to 8 billion people on this planet. All right. So long term, short term, Bitcoin is doing good. Doing better, let's say. It's doing better. We're not back to all-time high. I'm not going to pretend like it is, but it's doing better today. But long term looks bright, looks very bright. Now, besides Bitcoin, well, you could see that several altcoins started to come back up as well. We're at 2.3 trillion, which is a large number, but of course, nowhere near our 2.8 trillion high, but we are starting a recovery. Ethereum is so very strong. Binance Coin is having a good day, and I will mention why. They have some big news. And several others like Avalanche that has been sold off massively recently is having a recovery day, and several others are starting to recover, even though it's still primarily in red. It's higher than where it was last night. So we are starting to see that recovery. But there are a few altcoins, a few projects I want to talk about. Number one, I have to talk about it, and this could be a golden opportunity for anyone to pick up Cardano. I know it's like beating a dead horse right now because like Cardano's not moving, but SundaeSwap finally launched their testnet. There was a problem with their faucet in terms of distributing the test ADA. That seems to be solved now. So now you can download this NAMI wallet. You have to use it. You can't use Yori or Deadlist or anything else. You have to use this NAMI wallet. But you can connect, and you can start playing around and swapping left and right. And so far, it seems like it's working. I'm looking through the tweets, and it seems like most people actually do enjoy it. The interface, I had to say, looks pretty darn good. And it does look like a pretty full-fledged DEX to me. But you guys tell me, if you guys have been playing around with it, you tell me how it is. I didn't have a chance to play with it. But, like I said, this is what everyone is waiting for. And if this continues to be a success, well, this could be a golden opportunity to get in Cardano right now, seeing how it's only $1.34 and it's still 57% from its highs, right? This could be a really good time to get in, and let's see what happens with this test. Now, what else is there? I mentioned about Binance. Binance is partnering up with Animoca Brands to form a new 200 million fund for GameFi projects, right? Gaming, play to earn, NFTs. You could say it's part of metaverses, right? So obviously Animoca Brands is very heavily involved with that already. But Binance wants to make Binance Smart Chain very involved with that as well, because right now there's just not a whole lot going on Binance Smart Chain when it comes to gaming. And they want to change that, right? That's why Binance is doing pretty well. BNB is doing pretty well today, right? And Binance itself wants to be a fully registered firm in the UK, despite having some regulatory setbacks. But why this is, this is kind of like a common theme these days. Just yesterday, I did a nightly video, talked about several projects that were oversold, or they're very involved with metaverses or NFTs, right? I didn't mention Binance Smart Chain, but this definitely is a game changer for them. One of the hottest things. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys noticed about NFT collections. They've kind of started tapering out. They started coming down in price because a lot more people prefer earning NFTs while playing games that they enjoy and be able to have an economy to sell that back and trade and actually earn real money from it. So it does seem like there's a shift from NFT collections to play to earn games. Although it may shift back at some point, but there is that shift right now. So I think this will be very positive for both brands. Now, the last one I want to talk about is Crypto.com, which I didn't mention yesterday, but I will mention today because there's something significant that's going on right now. Crypto.com, you guys know, high flying, really shot up the charts at number 15, but they did sell off recently. So this could be a good opportunity to get in. They're about 43% off from their high, and I believe the potential is definitely there. And what's going on? Well, today it saddens a lot of people that Staples Center, the signage, is being removed. And guess what they're going to replace it with? Crypto.com. And some argue that this $700 million was already paid off because of how high CRO pumped afterwards. So if you think about it, that's brilliant. They paid $700 million, or they're going to pay $700 million over 20 years. Yet they instantly made that back, and more so just with the price of their token going up. That's genius if you think about it, right? And that is kind of what they expected, and they made a big splash, and it's definitely happening. But of course, Crypto.com also has many things besides just their marketing efforts. They launched with Silvergate not too long ago. They partnered up, I should say, to bring fiat onboarding with USD much easier worldwide, because they want to be like, one of the biggest fiat on-ramp exchanges in the world. And also they purchased several small exchanges, derivative exchanges from the US, because they also want to get into crypto derivatives as well. So they're definitely moving forward. Okay, they're trying to grow their exchange. They're growing their upcoming chain. They're growing their NFT marketplace. They're growing their brand. So Crypto.com, I definitely feel like, is going places, and could be a good buying opportunity right now since they sold off this last week. And lastly, since metaverses are so hot, I did see this on CoinGecko. This lists out some of the most popular games, and I mentioned many of these, well, actually just a few last night. Axie Infinity, right? They're a behemoth. Obviously, they have done very well over the last year, but they've sold off a little bit. You have Sandbox, Mana, who both have crazy land sales going on right now. Engine, that's also in that space. Illuvium, which is a new play-to-earn game that's trying to challenge Axie Infinity. And Render, which is a GPU sharing project, but they also want to get into metaverses too. You can see that they have all sold off double digits, right? But I like many of these projects, with the exception of Render. I think all these are worth picking up because I don't think metaverses are going to get cold anytime soon. I think they're only going to heat up. All right, that's pretty much it. Overall, today's recovery day. Not the greatest recovery day, but it is a recovery day, and hopefully when this updates, it's not going to be at 16 anymore. I think a lot of you guys have calmed down, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. Elio says Render won't render the metaverse. Of course not. This is the reason why I've always been neutral on Render. Even before they started announcing that they were going to partner with Solana and get into metaverses. The project, the reason why it's called Render is because it helps creators borrow GPU power from across the world. But I just think sharing GPU compute doesn't make sense. It's very expensive. Right? It's much cheaper to just buy a GPU rather than trying to rent that. So I never got the model. I think it's a horrible model. That's why I never got into that project. But I know it went up a lot. It got pumped up a lot because of their metaverse announcement. But it just fundamentally doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why I never liked Render. All right. Scrolling up. Let's see what people are saying. People are still not believing in Cardano, calling it Cardano is trash. Well, I thought the same thing back in 2017, 2018. So I did not pick it up when it was at $0.01 or below a cent or 2 cents, and have made many, many, many millionaires because those people bought and held, and now look at where it is, right? So Cardano is just one DEX away from continuing its upward trend. Terra is not hurt. No, Terra is doing very, very well. They formed a high during the dip. It didn't even make a lot of sense, right? They're still up almost 20% for the week, and they're doing very well in the top 10 now, even above Avalanche. But I do think Avalanche was way oversold. The difference between March in 2020 and now could lie in the fact that the Fed may be tapering now as opposed to increasing money printing back in 2020. Yeah, but we didn't know that. We didn't know the extent of that back in March, right? We knew that the Fed and everyone else was going to try to do something, but we didn't know how much they would be printing, and we didn't know that until, later on. So that is a difference, but in March of 2020, we came back like really quickly. If you look at the equities market, it recovered almost like it didn't dip. And with Bitcoin, it fell more, but it still recovered very, very quickly. So, this is not the chart showing that, but I get your point. But all right, Cosmos, I like Cosmos a lot. Chainlink, I mentioned about Chainlink. If you look at their chart, Chainlink is extremely oversold. Extremely oversold. I normally don't show charts, but I gotta do it because it was brought to my attention. If you look at Chainlink on the daily chart, okay, this is going back all the way to 2018. Take a look right here where my cursor is. I know it's hard to see, but the RSI is at 23. And it has never been at 23 since 2018, since Coinbase listed them. So from an oversold value, they are the most oversold they've ever been since their existence. Okay, so that tells you something. So that tells you, they could be at a turning point where they have a really good run up, and we have seen that before with Chainlink before, where it's just really stagnant for a long time, and then all of a sudden they just like start shooting higher. What's our thoughts on DeFi Kingdom? You know what? I covered them. They have some exciting things going on in Q4 and Q1. I mentioned about a research paper in Patreon. But what's interesting is they're launching a new realm on Avalanche. And I think that's brilliant. Launching different realms on different chains, right? And still trying to get it all to work together. I think that's brilliant. But DeFi Kingdoms, they seem like they're doing really good. I think they look like they're a good metaverse or a game. DJ's bullish on Crypto.com. I am too. I think they're going to go very far. They're trying to be a true Coinbase competitor at this point. All right. What else is there? Yo from Switzerland. Welcome, welcome. What else? XYO. XYO is like a layer one that's focused on, IoT and location based stuff, which sounds good in a, IoT environment. We have a lot of smart devices and stuff that really depend on locations, but if you think about it, any layer one could do the same thing. I mean, any layer one could do anything. I mean, any blockchain really could do the same thing. It's not as I guess focused on that, but they could. So I think XYO could do well. They just don't have the attention right now. That's really it. ACH is a metaverse player, but no one reads the white paper, so they sleep. Also Web3. Are you talking about the same ACH I am? Or is there another one? Because the ACH I'm familiar with is Alchemy Pay, and that's a payment system. They're not a metaverse player. So unless you're talking about some other project, Cuban Trucker, I have no idea what you're talking about. Voyager. I expect Voyager to do well in December. They have many things. They're getting into NFTs as well, right? And they just hit their recent high right at December 1st. So it looked like they were doing very well. They're expanding. They're growing their brokerage, but of course they sold off because of the recent dip. But I think they could continue to do well, and they could continue to go back to where they were. You could see that they bottomed basically at the same point as end of November, and they kind of formed a double bottom there, it looks like. So it could be flipping on the way up. Metaverse high, okay. Any chance for Cardano to go back to all-time high? Yes, definitely a chance. Do you think past cycles apply to this cycle at this point in time? I don't know, Bobo. I would like to think so, because history doesn't always repeat. It tends to rhyme. That's how it is with anything. Doesn't mean that it has to follow exactly, but, you know, human mentality and human, I guess, psyche, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. Is very similar no matter what. So there tends to be certain patterns that always comes true. So I'm going to say yes. But of course, things are also very different. For better and worse, sometimes you don't want them to follow, because obviously there's a lot more institutions, there's a lot more holders these days. So that does change the game. And DeFi also changes the game. We didn't really have DeFi previously. It just started, but no one was using it. It's very different versus now. And most projects now, what are they doing? They launch an IDO. They launch on an iPad, or they launch straight to a DEX. They don't really try to launch on a centralized exchange like 2017 or do an ICO, right? So the landscape has changed vastly now. So it doesn't always have to repeat. APY Finance, do you think DeFi will grow? I don't know about APY Finance. I definitely think DeFi will grow. I mean, that's like the staple. The biggest use case right now for crypto, for L1s, is DeFi. Before, people will say, wow, you know, there's no use case for crypto, right? Other than laundering money and stuff and doing illegal activities. But that is no longer the case. The biggest use case right now is DeFi. And DeFi is vast. You have decentralized exchanges, you have decentralized lending, decentralized borrowing, decentralized staking, decentralized pooling. I mean, there's so many things that's part of DeFi. Can Luna pass Solana? Oh man, they're still very far away. But can it happen? Sure. It's possible. The way they are continuing to burn their tokens, it's definitely possible. In fact, the TVL on Luna, I mean Terra, I keep saying Luna, but the TVL on Terra is higher than Solana now. That's actually really, really amazing. Really amazing. So, is it possible? Sure. I saw an old video. You used to be a crypto miner. How come you stopped mining? Because I got scared out. That was back in 2013. When Bitcoin first hit 1,200, I got into mining. I didn't know what I was getting involved with. Actually, I shared this story yesterday, Carl. You should listen to my video yesterday about why I'll always be bullish on Bitcoin. But that's why I got out, because I didn't understand anything. I just got scared out of the market. And I held on to all that Litecoin that I mined. I would be much better off today. Has BTC deviated from fractal repetition? Not really. Depends on what kind of fractal you're looking at. There's still a lot that's in play. HOD formed a new high. Will crypto use HOD as an NFT since they are heavily invested? I have no idea. I have no idea if they are heavily invested. If I transfer my ETH into a stablecoin, does that count as a taxable event? Yes. Basically, any kind of trade, including stablecoin trades, are taxable events. The only thing that's not taxable is not making any trade at all and just holding. Avalanche and DOT. I definitely think Avalanche is going to come back up. They were just too oversold. There's no reason why they went into this 80s, I think. But it's good for you guys to pick up because, yeah, I think they were way oversold. Future Millions. Okay, appreciate it. Does Litecoin trade similar to BTC? They used to, no longer. That is no longer the case. You could see if they did, they would not be at number 18. Litecoin back in the day was top 5. And they did very well, but that is no longer the case. No one cares about Litecoin. No one cares about Litecoin as a store of value. Everyone just goes with Bitcoin, and that's how it should be. KCS flip BNB, S-Dog, I don't think that's going to happen. KuCoin, as big as they are no Binance. Binance is a behemoth. Their trading volume is multiple times higher than even Coinbase. That's how big Binance is. Gappa releasing Vox. I have no idea what Gappa is. Zero clue. It doesn't even show up. All right. David, no one cares about Litecoin. Don't pretend like people care about Litecoin. Yeah, I do have a Litecoin tattoo that I may show you guys someday, but it's at a position you probably don't want to see. Whale alert last year showing whales moving XRP to Coinbase. What does that mean? That means XRP is going to be sold. Anytime XRP is moved to any exchange, that means it's going to be sold. And unfortunately for XRP, they're still 80% off from their high. I mean, that's really high. That's even higher than Doge. Shows you that there's basically no momentum for XRP right now. None whatsoever. This lawsuit is really, really suppressing them. Gala. Yes, Gala. I don't know what game Vox is, but I like Gala quite a lot. I think they also were sold off recently. A little bit too much, but that's because they also went up a little bit too fast too. But I like Gala. I'll check out Vox. I don't know what game that is. 7,900 people watching. Smash up the like, guys. Smash up the like. So, in case you missed it, I'm just going to recap. The very important thing as a Bitcoin holder, as a crypto holder, you don't want to miss is this. Okay? The liquid supply, which is basically held by the holders, the ones that don't care about volatility. They have moved their Bitcoin off their exchanges and is sitting pretty in some cold wallet or mobile wallet, not being used to trade. That number continues to rise, even though Bitcoin came down. So which means that this sell-off is 100% driven by the whales and the large, I don't know, maybe some institutions, but it seems like it's just whale driven right now. Very different than March and April, when you see that when Bitcoin came down, the liquid supply did go down. Retail investors, holders, they panicked. They sold. Not right now. Not right now. And this is a very telling difference between what happened in April and May versus what's going on right now, which is very, very positive. All right, guys, that is it. Chainlink, can you help? No, I can't help you pump Chainlink up, but I think everyone should hold on some Chainlink. It's a big blue chip that I think could be reversing because they're very, very oversold in terms of their daily RSI. All right, guys, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, all right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.